In this video, I'm going to show you how you can completely transform your tools as a baseball player and take your game to the next level. That way you can become a difference maker on the field and catch the attention of college coaches or scouts. And you're going to do this without guessing on your workouts, wasting time on a program that isn't effective, risking injury with bad form, and ultimately getting left behind because you don't have the tools you need to play at the next level. And this is all made possible with something I call the 5-tool transformation system, which has three main aspects to it that will completely transform you as a baseball player. You'll know how to use each one by the end of this video. These include the baseball athleticism formula to help you transform your tools, help you minimize dysfunction and reduce your injury risk, and also, most importantly, apply your results to the field. Not only will you see results quickly within the first month of using this system, but if you stay consistent, you can transform yourself into having more tools, reducing your injury risk, and improving your performance on the field. This is only for guys who have some skill and are willing to work hard, but need to improve their velo, power, or running speed in order to play at that next level. But if that's not you, and you're going to miss workouts constantly, you're afraid to get after it in the weight room, you'd rather guess on your workouts than being on a structured program, or you're already built like Bo Jackson and you never get hurt, then this system probably won't help you that much. But if you are willing to work hard and be consistent, then you're going to want to watch the whole video, because I'll show you exactly how you can increase your velo, hit for more power, run faster, reduce your injury risk, and ultimately perform better on the baseball field. And this system is completely different from other programs that you might have tried in the past, because not only is it based in exercise science principles to improve your performance, but they're adapted specifically to transform you as a baseball player and reduce common injuries for baseball as well. In the past, you may have tried only focusing on your mechanics or your mobility, just doing random workouts that you see online, or basic programs that just aren't very effective and you end up plateauing on. And these things didn't work for you because they don't have the structure, the research-based methods, proper progressions, or baseball-specific application to transform you as a baseball player. And if you don't know me, I'm Jordan. I'm the founder of All Your Heart Athletics. I have a pretty extensive exercise science background. I earned my bachelor's degree in exercise science while I was playing college baseball. Also, I'm a certified strength and conditioning specialist, or CSCS. This matters because the CSCS is the gold standard certification in the field of strength and conditioning. Most D1 or pro strength coaches have this certification, and you need a bachelor's degree to get it. And then you also have to pass an exam that has a 37% pass rate. I've also worked with hundreds of athletes, primarily baseball players, and gotten some very good results with them, which I'll talk about here in a little bit. Lastly, I'm a doctor of physical therapy student, and I'm set to graduate in May 2024. And basically what a physical therapist is they're an expert of human movement, and they also help people rehab injuries and reduce their risk of having injuries as well. And the reason I got into this field is because I use these methods and completely transformed myself as a baseball player. I originally went to a JUCO out of high school, and once I got there, I realized I was weak, small, and unathletic. Honestly, I was the worst athlete on the team, and it was really embarrassing, but I was willing to do anything to get better. So I did a ton of research, and after a lot of trial and error and time, I was able to make some crazy gains as a baseball player. I dropped my 60 from a 7.5 to a 6.8. I gained 15 miles per hour of exit velo, and I also put on 30 pounds of muscle. Although I made all of these improvements, it took me about 2 years to make all of them, which is way longer than it should have. I honestly wasted a lot of time not knowing exactly what I should be doing. But if I would have had some guidance, then I would have been able to make all of these gains in about 6 months or so. So now that's what I'm trying to do for other players, and it's worked really well. Now as a strength coach, I've coached hundreds of athletes with the 5-tool system, and players who are consistent on it see results quickly within the first month, but they completely transform themselves as a baseball player after about 6 months on the program. A great example of the kind of results you can get if you stay consistent with this system is Josh. So before he came in to work with me, he was an undersized high school senior. He came in January of his senior year, and he didn't have a place to play yet for the fall in college. And he was already a good player. He was just undersized, and that's why he was getting overlooked a little bit. But after being consistent on the program, he was able to gain 27 pounds of muscle. You can see here his strength went absolutely through the roof. And he was already fast, but he was able to drop all of his times by like 0.2, 0.3 seconds, and now he's the fastest player I've seen in person. Also, he signed on that spring to play college baseball because he was having a breakout year. He was an all-city player by the end of the season, and also he was Oklahoma State Player of the Week 1 week as well. Another guy who's a really good example of what happens if you work hard with this system is Adam. He's actually an online client of mine, and before he came in to work with me, his exit velo was 87. Now it's up to 95. Catcher velo went from 74 to 80, which is a big jump there. His 60 time actually drops more than mine did as a player in about 2 years, and he did this in about 6 months. His 60 time went from a 7.5 to a 6.7, and then his pop time went from a 2.1 to a 1.91, which is a huge difference as well. Also, his body weight went from 170 to 194, just 24 pounds. That's a really big deal. And then he's not a pitcher, but his throwing velocity on the mound went from 80 to 88, which is a huge jump. A lot of pitchers would kill to have that kind of a jump. And then you can see some old videos of him hitting right here. You can just see how much slower he's swinging the bat before he got into the weight room on this system. And then you can see him now just absolutely stroking a ball right here, just absolutely crushing it. Another guy who's a good example of what happens whenever you work hard with this system is Tripp. He's an online client. He came in late in his junior year and worked hard over the summer, but he was able to increase his velo from 79 to 87. His body weight went from 170 to 189, which is a big jump there. Deadlift went from 285 to 405. Trap bar deadlift 315 to 425. That's over a 100-pound increase. And then his squat went from 285 to 355, all in about 6 months or so there. But he went from not pitching a lot on his high school team his junior year to committing to a pretty good D2 program that summer. And then here's an example of his pull down increase in velocity. So you have a little bit of evidence there. So 83 here. And then later on, he pulled down, and then that's 91 a little bit more recently. But again, Tripp is a really good example of what happens if you work hard with this system. Like, your numbers will go up. And like I mentioned before, I've trained hundreds of athletes with this, mainly online. So don't think that because you're not in person with me, you won't make great results, because my online players make really good results. So here's a good example: 6 mile per hour pull down PR right here. This program got me hitting bombs. I can't thank you enough. I love the sound of that. This guy's making strength and explosiveness PRs week after week here. This guy said he gained 7 miles per hour in 4 months. I don't know if that's hitting or throwing, but either way, we'll take it. Ever since starting the program, my numbers are jumping. I'm happy you started doing your program. Like, those are the things we're looking for, and that's going to come with consistency on this 5-tool program. This guy gained 8 pounds in a month. All of his numbers are up like crazy. And also really important is reducing that arm pain and reducing your injury risk, right? So this guy says that his arm hasn't been bothering him at all whenever it used to for 15 to 20 throws to start. And then another good example is this guy. Like, every lift has gone up a lot, up 12 pounds. Exit velo has jumped, and his arm doesn't hurt as much anymore. So, like, these are big gains that you can make with this 5-tool system if you're consistent on it. Now I'm going to go in and lay out each component of this 5-tool system, so that way you can understand how you can get these crazy results as well. I'm going to explain in detail each aspect, including the baseball athleticism formula, how to minimize dysfunction and reduce injury risk, and also how to apply your results to the field. So first is the baseball athleticism formula. And to stress the importance of this, I want you to think of the players who get the most attention at places like showcases or camps from college coaches or scouts. It's always the guys lighting up the radar gun, hitting home runs, or running really fast 60s, right? And it makes sense that guys with the tools get the most attention, because tools project to the next level. For example, a pitcher needs really good velocity to dominate a good hitter. As a hitter, you need really good bat speed to catch up to a 95 mile per hour fastball. And speed puts pressure on the defense and also increases your range in the field. So building these tools is necessary to get to that next level and also to reach your potential as a player. And honestly, if you don't throw the ball really hard, you don't have any power, and you're really slow, you're probably not going to be able to make that jump to the next level of baseball. If you don't have tools, you're going to get left behind, plain and simple. But just because you don't have these tools now doesn't mean you can't build them. And the baseball athleticism formula is proven over and over again to increase those tools for baseball. So to get into it, the formula has 3 basic parts. And first is building strength. And strength is important because it's the foundation of athletic performance. It helps you produce force on the field, which it's really important to produce a lot of force if you want to throw the ball really hard or hit the ball really far. And as a baseball player, you need both full body and rotational strength. So how do you get strong? The best way to get strong is to lift heavy for low sets and reps with big compound lifts like deadlift, squat, bench press, things like that. That being said, a common pitfall for a lot of guys is going in and doing the exact same exercise week after week with the exact same sets and reps and expecting to continue making progress. So say you go in and you're doing squats for 4 sets of 3 every week. The first few weeks, you're going to get strong doing this, but eventually your body's going to adapt and you're going to hit a plateau and not be able to get much stronger anymore. And that's why you need a good progression strategy as well as deloads at the proper time. And both are a little bit complex, but that's what I help my guys with. Another big focus is proper form. If you don't have really good form, you're really increasing your risk of hurting yourself in the weight room. So it is really important to have that good form whenever you're lifting heavy. And this is something I help my players with educational modules and also one-on-one coaching. And you can see our strategy for increasing strength really working with Trip right here. 180-pound deadlift PR in about 2 months. That's nuts. Went from 225 to about 405 right here. Next is explosiveness. It really doesn't matter how strong you are if you can't apply the strength quickly on the field. And if you can build this strength and explosiveness at the same time, then you're going to have massive gains like these guys are making on the program. And this is where the 5-tool system differs from most programs that you're going to get at your school or your local gym. Because a common approach that strength coaches use is using blocks or phases of training. So, for example, they'll build muscle for a month, then work on strength for a month, and then work on explosiveness after that. But the issue with this is it takes too long to make really good progress. We don't have a full off season to use like a football team does. And also, you'll lose progress in certain qualities that you're not training at the time. So, for example, if you're on an explosiveness block, then you're going to lose a little bit of the strength you gained from the strength block. So, to transform your tools quickly for baseball, you're going to need to train both strength and explosiveness at the same time. So, how do you get explosive while you're getting strong? You can get explosive while you're getting strong in 3 basic ways, and that's by lifting light weights fast, the same compound movements that you're using for strength at about 40 to 60% of your 1 rep max, with plyometrics 2 to 3 times a week with the plyometrics, on a good progression system, like I mentioned with the strength, and also with med balls. Med balls are a really good tool to increase your rotational power and also your upper body power. And those are the 3 main ways to build explosiveness within the 5-tool system, and they're all really research-based and have worked really well for my players. A good example of a guy building a lot of explosiveness is right here. This guy's arm strength and his exit velos have both gone up 4+ miles per hour. That's a huge difference right there. And again, you need the correct sets and reps and proper progressions with this, which is what I help my guys with. The last part of the baseball athleticism formula is putting on athletic muscle. I always use the saying, you can't fire a cannon out of a canoe, but basically you need muscle size to help you support the strength that you have and also help you to be more explosive as well. 2 basic ways to build muscle that we use that work really well. So first is with nutrition. You want to be eating about 500 calories more than you're burning each day. And also you want to eat about your body weight in grams of protein. And I help my guys do this by calculating their numbers for them and also by sending them a meal guide that shows them how to build a good meal that will help them gain weight. Next is lifting and muscle building rep ranges, which is basically exactly what a gym bro is going to be doing in the weight room. It's going to look like 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps taken to failure. Builder because you're also doing strength and explosiveness training on top of this. So those are the 3 basic ways you can transform your tools for baseball: by building strength, both full body and rotational, getting really explosive, and also putting on athletic muscle. Building up those tools is great, but if you're injured, then it doesn't really matter because you're going to be in the dugout all season. So the next part of the 5-tool system is minimizing your dysfunction and reducing injury risk. To do this, you need to know 3 things. What are the common injuries for baseball? What increases my chance of getting one of those? And also, how can I reduce my chances? So I'll give a quick rundown on a few common baseball injuries, and I'll focus on arm injuries here. So the first one you've definitely heard of before, it's the UCL, which is the ligament right here. They call it the Tommy John ligament, and it holds your humerus to your ulna. It gets a lot of stress in that layback part of the throw, which is why guys tear it. Next is rotator cuff strains. So the rotator cuff is a collection of 4 muscles deep in your shoulder. Their job is to keep your shoulder stable while the arm is moving up overhead. So as you can imagine, they get a lot of stress during the throw, and that's why people can strain their rotator cuff. And the last main one I'll cover is the labrum. Basically, the labrum is the structure that helps hold your arm in the shoulder socket. It's like the golf tee to a golf ball. And as you can imagine, with the forces of throwing, this structure gets stressed quite a bit whenever your arm is up overhead and moving at high speeds. So now that you know the common injuries, we're going to talk about what causes these injuries and how you can reduce your chances of getting them. So the first one is poor management of your throwing volume. So working back into throwing way too quickly, or once you're already in season, just throwing way too much and not recovering enough. Even for major league players, the most common month to get injured is April, which is the first month of the season, just because their bodies aren't able to handle the demands of the season yet. So to help guard against this, being on a throwing program is key to both ramp you up into throwing for the season and to manage your volume once you're already in season. So this is something that I send all of my players. All of them have a throwing program that they can use to ramp up and also build velocity once they're ramped up. Next is weakness of the rotator cuff or scapular muscles. And these are really important muscles for overhead stability of your shoulder. So if these muscles are weak, then you're going to have less stability and more chance of getting injured. If your rotator cuff is weak, then you can strengthen it with exercises like internal and external rotations or Y raises. And then if your scap muscles are weak, you can strengthen those with things like T's, Y's, and also push-up pluses. And this rotator cuff and scapular muscle strength is something I assess with all of my athletes. And then I'll build out a custom arm care program to strengthen the areas that they're weak in. That way they can build up that strength and reduce their injury risk. Last one I'll cover is shoulder range of motion. It's really common for you as a baseball player to have an imbalance of your range of motion in your throwing shoulder because you're throwing all the time. But there gets to a point where there's too much of an imbalance and it becomes an injury risk factor. So to alleviate this, I'll look at my guys' range of motion in the initial assessment. And then if they have that big imbalance of range of motion, then I'll give them some exercises to fix that in their arm care program. The last aspect of the system, and most important, is applying your results to the field. It doesn't matter if you have all the tools in the world and you never get hurt. If you can't play well come game time, then it doesn't matter at all. And there are two basic ways you can prepare yourself to perform well on game day, and that's with physical preparation and mental preparation. To be physically ready to play, you need to have a plan for building your skills, and that looks like taking ground balls, having a throwing program, having a hitting routine, and things like that. And then also preparing your body to perform pregame. So having a really good dynamic warm up and having a pre-throw routine as well as a post-throw routine to help you recover after the game. I help my players be physically ready to play by giving them throwing programs, hitting routines, pregame warm-ups, and also pre and post-throw routines. Next is mental preparation, and the best way to do this is to keep it simple. The reason I say keep it simple is because people dive so deep into the mental side of the game that they get domed up even more, and it makes them play even worse. So just keep it simple. A good example of how important the mental preparation side of things is me personally. I actually had quite a bit of challenge with performing under pressure early on in my college career. My sophomore year, I had all the tools I needed. I was healthy and ready to go, but I pressed and I played timid, which led to terrible results. But I was able to go back to the drawing board and slay those demons my junior year because I learned how to stay calm and relax under pressure and just let it eat in those moments. And this led to really good results my junior year before COVID shortened our season. But I've been that guy who crumbles under pressure and also that player that performs well under pressure. So that's something I help my players with, is kind of walking them through how they should be thinking in order to perform well under pressure and mentoring them and guiding them along in that way. So that's how you can become a completely different player with the 5-tool system, and how you can transform your tools with the baseball athleticism formula, reduce your injury risk, and also perform well come game time. If you're wanting to make those baseball-specific gains and are interested in learning more about the program and how I can help you, then here's a little bit of a demo of what the guys in the program get. So the first thing you'll do once you sign up is we'll do your initial assessment, and that looks like testing your upper and your lower body power, as well as your injury risk assessment with things like rotator cuff strength, scapular muscle strength, shoulder range of motion, and also hip mobility. And then we'll also look at your sprinting speed and your sprinting mechanics, because if you fix your mechanics, then you can make instant drops on your 60 or steal more bases. And then after that initial assessment, I'll build you out a custom program based on your results. So your strength and explosiveness workouts will be based on your strengths and weaknesses in that assessment. Your mobility routine will be based on the deficits that you had in range of motion in the assessment, as well as your arm care routine. Like say if you have a weak rotator cuff, we'll have more rotator cuff exercises to strengthen that up and reduce your injury risk. Next would be your custom nutrition calculations, and then I'll also send over a meal guide. This way you'll know exactly how many calories and protein you need to be eating to reach your goals, as well as a meal guide to kind of help you guide and learn how to build a meal that'll help you reach those goals each day. I also have resources and learning modules in there. So good examples are throwing programs, fast speed program, pre and post throw routine, etc. And then also have learning modules which teach you how to lift properly and proper sprint form for baseball as well. On top of that, through the messaging feature in the app, there's going to be communication and weekly check-ins. So you can reach out whenever you're having an issue and I'll get back to you pretty quickly. And then also weekly check-ins. Once a week, I'll make sure everything's going smooth with you. And then this is the demo of the app right here. This is what you're going to be seeing as a client. So right here is where your workout of the day will be, as well as your daily calories you're trying to hit. Then you can move around your workouts to fit your schedule in this area right here. Then you have your resources like your muscle building meal guide right here. And then you also have other resources, pre and post routine, exit velo weighted bat, and then here's your velo building throwing program right there. And then the learning modules teaching you how to lift properly are right here as well. Squatting 101, how to do a perfect squat, really important things so you can be lifting properly. And then this is where you track your weight, and then also where you'll track how much weight you're lifting over time and see your weights increase and how your strength will increase over time. And then this is the area that you'll get in touch with me right here in the inbox. You'll reach out if you ever have a question, and that's where I'll be checking in with you weekly as well. So that's the basic overview of my system right there. And this is something that if you're consistent with it, you're going to completely transform yourself as a baseball player. You're going to build up your tools like your arm strength, your power, and your speed. And also, you're going to be able to reduce your injury risk and ultimately perform better on the baseball field. So if you're interested in making gains like these for yourself, then go ahead and book a call with me in the link in the description. And we'll talk about if I can help you and if you're a good fit to join the program. And then if so, we'll get started right away and we'll get up and running and getting you these results. Again, this is for really dedicated players who are going to be consistent and work really hard. And if you've made it to this point in the video, that's likely you. So if you're interested, go ahead and book that call with the link in my description here. And then we can jump on a call and I'll see if you're a good fit. And then we can get rolling from there. I hope you got a ton of value out of this video. And honestly, you can take the info you learned and try to build out a program on your own or add it to the program you're already working with. By doing that, you're going to repeat what I did, taking 2 years to make the same kind of gains that my players are making in 6 months, and just wasting your time and decreasing the likelihood of you having a really successful baseball career. You'll make much faster progress within the actual system because you'll know exactly what to do, how to handle things like plateaus or nagging injuries. So if your baseball career is really important to you and you want to make gains as quickly as possible, then you can schedule a call with me in the link in the description and we can talk about the whole program and see if you'd be a good fit to join it. Looking back, if I'd have had some more guidance, I would have gotten results so much faster, avoided all the mistakes I made, and my career would have looked completely different. I don't want you to have any regrets or what ifs with baseball. So go ahead and schedule a call with me in the link in the description and we'll see if you're a good fit to join the program and then we'll get rolling. I hope this video was really helpful for you and I'll catch you in the next one.